All right, so you're back. So this is lesson 28, solving two-step equations. So I'm going to model through this first one really slowly and then do the final two on this page a little more quickly just to go through the process. So this is a very similar process to our one-step equations. Our first step is to identify the operations. Here I see multiplying and adding. Remember, multiplying is a little trickier to see because we don't always use a times sign. So if I have a variable and a number next to it, that's multiplying. So that's multiplying, and then there's adding. So we're going to follow SADMEP, which is, if you notice, PEMDAS backwards. So we're going to work backwards to get x isolated. That's our goal, right? Is to get my variable isolated. So I have to complete operations on both sides, remember, to keep the balance, in order to isolate my variable. So if I see adding and I see multiplying, notice I will have to, if I'm following SADMEP, I will have to undo the adding first. So again, when I'm talking about inverse operations, when I see adding, I'm going to have to subtract. So if I am adding 15, I need to subtract 15. That makes it balanced. And what I do on one side of my equation, I will have to do on the other side of my equation to keep the balance. 15 minus 15 makes 0. And I will do 71 minus 15 in my calculator, and I get 56. And now I'm at the step where the only operation I see is multiplying, so I will have to do its opposite, which is divide. Again, we show dividing with a fraction bar. So that's 7 divided by 7, and 56 divided by 7. 7 divided by 7 cancels out to a 1. Again, we can write 1x, but we don't have to. And 56 divided by 7 is 8. So my final answer is x equals 8. Now, I left this box over here for you to check. I'm going to check and show you how to check this one, and you must do the two examples to check as well. So the ones we do at the bottom, you're going to have to show a check. Remember, 3 steps: rewrite, replace, and redo the math. All right, and when shown correctly, so rewrite, I rewrote the whole original equation. Replace, instead of my variable x, I substituted in and evaluated with my answer 8. I plugged this whole side of my equation, 7 times 8 plus 15, in my calculator, and I got 71. And so I can put a check there because I know these two sides are equivalent. So I just kind of covered up the rest of this worksheet for a second just to show you. I'm going to not do number 2, and I want you to try it, solve it, and do the 3 steps to the check. Remember, rewrite, replace, redo the math. Again, looking at my example on number 1 if you need help. I am going to go through question 3, and we're going to go really quick and talk about through question 4. Question 3 I did already, and I will show you my work. But again, I wanted to give you an opportunity to pause the video and try 2 and 3 on your own, and then I will give you the answers for those, and I will show you the work for question 3. All right, so here we go. So this is the work for question. So question 2, your final answer, I'm just going to give you that so that you'll know at least you're correct. But again, if your check worked, it should be correct. You should have gotten your answer to be 3. So if you did, good job. Make sure you checked with 3 steps. Again, my requirement for you is to check 2 of these out of the 3. So you pick which 2 you'd like. If you notice on the side, I wrote some symbols, minus and times. So in this equation, there's subtraction and there's multiplying. So to undo that, remember, we go backwards from SADMEP. I'm going to get rid of the adding or subtracting first, and then the multiplying and dividing second. So if you notice here, I saw adding and timesing. I'm going to get rid of the adding first. Again, I'm following SADMEP, which is PEMDAS, or order of operations backwards. So I'm going to get rid of my adding first by doing subtraction. I subtracted on both sides. This crosses out. I'm left with 0 and 4 hundredths C equals negative 1.6. To get rid of that multiplying, I'm going to need to divide on both sides. And my final answer is C equals negative 40. Again, pause the video if you need to. This last one, I noticed there's subtraction and multiplying. But if I follow SADMAP and I want to get rid of the subtraction, I would normally add. But now let's take a second and look at this. If I write plus 12, will this cross out? It won't. 12 plus 12 doesn't cross out. 12 plus 12 makes 24. So you have to be really careful, even though sometimes it does look pretty obvious about the operations. And there's clearly a minus sign there, right? But that minus sign I'm going to group with the 12 over here and the variable n. So this 12 technically is positive. So to get rid of this 12, I actually am going to have to subtract on both sides. So again, a little tricky. Be sure when you actually are doing the crossing out part that your answers actually cross out. Again, these would cross out and you'd get a coefficient of 1. So 12 minus 12 does cross out. But now notice what happens. That minus sign is going to become a negative sign with my 12 and my n. This becomes negative 48 minus 12 becomes negative 60. So now I got rid of, again, adding or subtracting. In this case, I was trying to get rid of the subtracting part, but I really just got rid of this 12 in the front. And now I'm going to get rid of this 12 because it's multiplying. I'm going to undo that by doing its opposite operation, which is dividing. I have to divide by negative 12 here because I want the negative to go away as well. And the only way to divide out a negative is to divide it by another negative. Negative 12 divided by negative 12 is positive 1. And negative 60 divided by negative 12 is positive 5. So now you have the three answers that you have for these three questions. Again, your task right now is to finish up number 2, show all that work, and then check 2 of these 3. It doesn't matter, you don't have to do all 3, just 2 of the 3. All right, good luck. I'll see you in class.